Good morning. It's Monday morning. I just want to tell you how sometimes you get what you wish for and then don't exactly work out like you wanted. Like I say before, we haven't been having any deer show up. They've been showing up about 1 o'clock in the morning because my pastor's been praying for the deer, so he's causing global warming, and they're not showing up until the middle of the night. Well, I have been having a couple of little doe that have been showing up about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I think they've only shown up once or twice. So I'm going. You ain't gonna do any good if you ain't down there. So I'm sitting in the stand yesterday afternoon. I got there about 3:30. About 4 o'clock, here comes those two little doe, and they're yearlings, and they're just hopping, and boy, they're just pretty as they can be, and they run darn near under my stand and out there, and they were playing and rearing up and kicking and jumping, and they're just pretty to watch. Of course, I put my scope on them a few times, just looking. Now, it gets dark about 5 o'clock, too dark to shoot. So you're pretty limited in the time that you got because they come out so late, if they come out at all. I've had an 8-point and a 6-point been coming out about 1 o'clock in the morning, but of course that don't do me any good. So this little cull buck comes walking up. He's got one horn on one side that's just bent. He probably should have been a 6 by now, but the other side is no horn at all. It's just looks like a tree knot. Ugly little thing. But he's not ever going to mount anything. So anyway, I went ahead and shot him, and he dropped like a sack of taters. Went down there, and dang, he was a little heavier than I thought he was. And I'm certainly not going to clean him right there. So I hand drug him, back to where I could get to him with the 4-wheeler without disturbing anything. Now, there's great big mud holes, 2 of them in fact, that I have to go through to get back to that stand. And it's just pretty tough. I got to use 4-wheel drive and get after it to get through there. So I know it's going to be a problem. I tie on to him with a rope, pull him up pretty close to the 4-wheeler, so he's on a bit of an angle. And man, I hit that first big mud hole and got about halfway through and just stopped. I said, oh my Lord. I look back there, and that sucker has slid over into a rut. And I can barely see him. He's down in that mud. Good God. So, can't go forwards. I'm in 4-wheel, of course. I can't go backwards or run him over. So I climbed off and all that crap. And cut the rope. Now, this is a 500. It's pretty heavy. So I start rocking it, as best I can. And finally get it out. And pull forward about 20 feet where I can get some traction. Went back with a rope, tied on to him, another rope. And I did drag him out of there, and I drug him to where, I could clean him. It's really dark by then, so I cleaned him with the headlights of the 4-wheeler. Now I got to load him on the back of that 4-wheeler so I can bring him to the house. And good Lord, if you ever done that, you know what I'm talking about. It's like trying to load a great big sack of jelly. Get one end up, started, and then trying to start to get the other end up, and then this one slides off, and it's just comical, but very backbreaking. Anyway, I did manage finally, and brought him home. You talk about a mess. I got home, and I've got blood. I've got blood on the if you would call it the dash of my 4-wheeler. I mean, I had it everywhere. I couldn't believe it. Of course, I'm working in the total dark. I got nothing to wash him out with or nothing. So I get him home and hang him in the garage. He weighs 133 pounds. He's not a big deer by any means, but he'd be very, very tasty. No question about it. Downside is, now I got to process him right away. That's why I ain't cleaned up yet this morning. It's 45 degrees. Year before last, now I got skunked last year. Year before last, I shot one in October with my bow. And the weather was as it normally is. Brought him home, hung him in the garage, processed him a couple of weeks later. I could have waited 3 months later if I wanted to, because it stays frozen. Not this year. I mean, it is hot out there. There's not a drop of snow. The rut hadn't started. It's just terrible. So I got to go process him this morning. That's the downside, so I know you feel sorry for me. But I didn't get skunked this time. Hopefully, I'm hoping my son will get that 8-point. And there's going to be more than that. When they go in rut, we'll start seeing deer. Anyway, hopefully it'll happen this week because we're supposed to start getting snow Wednesday or Thursday. Anyway, that's how it went. It was comical. It was backbreaking. But I didn't get skunked, and now we got venison. It's going to be in the freezer after a while. Some commentary. Have a good day.